Welcome to Master the Game. I am Juice, and this is our 30-day world building challenge. Today is day 9, and we are talking about farming animals. So let's get started. So just like the previous video about food, this is not something I put a ton of thought into. Usually I make real world connections to my different settlements. And based on that, I might say this is the types of farming animals and things like that. Now, what I'm going to say with this is I think it's kind of cool to incorporate some mythological creatures into this. So, for example, you might have a basilisk that lays eggs that, almost are like stone. They're real durable. And maybe they have some kind of healing properties and things like that. And so people eat them, just like they would eat normal eggs from other creatures. So again, I think doing stuff like that is kind of cool. Having like an exotics type of farm in a fantasy setting seems really cool. I have had that happen before where monster creatures were being farmed and also being used for a animal fighting ring that was illegal. And anyway, so that was 5 years ago, but that was a lot of fun. That was in the Pine Run area. And I remember distinctly thinking, okay, maybe even there's like some kind of crossbreeding going on to create special hybrid animals too. This is something that's happened in the real world. This has happened with dogs, and this is how they've made certain types of dogs. So you would think you could do that in a fantasy world and to come up with some really interesting creatures. Now, with farming animals, you use them for different things. You might use animals for transportation. You might use them for food, things like that. So the big one is the food, though, right? You would also have things for their fur, like sheep and things like that, for their wool. So you might have things for milk. So trying to associate this with fantasy creatures, again, I think it's a little bit harder because I still think if you were to walk up on a farm in a fantasy game and it was all these exotic type creatures, I think it might pull you out of it a little bit. So I still think drawing the connections to real world, cows, goat, sheep, horses, things like that is pretty normal to do. It's typically what I do. But occasionally having some kind of farmer who specializes in one specific exotic animal can make for things to be more interesting. So, thinking about that again, like I said, I've done basilisks. You could do it with cockatrice, things like that. Why not a larger creature, though, too? Why not something like a mammoth? That's something you could do, like a woolly mammoth, or maybe doing something like a boulet. I don't know what you would do with a boulet or boulette, whatever you want to call it. I don't know maybe that's got like some milk that's kind of special. I don't know. There's some things you could definitely come up with that are off the wall and unique. But for the most part, again, I think in my world, I'm just sticking to mostly what we would experience for the most part. I don't want to get too over the top with it. And this is a really hard one because, again, I haven't done a lot of thinking about it in the past. But what do you think? And this is more of, I guess, a community thing for you. What do you think? What would work in your world? Because I'm not feeling the different farmed animals deal unless it's maybe to ride something more exotic. That might make a lot of sense. Like, what would dwarves have as their farmed animals? You might have pigs. But maybe that's where the boulets come in, or the boulettes. They're underground animals. They can burrow. You could ride them. Maybe certain people in your world actually farm dragons. Maybe. But dragons are pretty smart. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think? I would love to hear about some of the more off-the-wall creatures in your world that you use as farmed animals. I don't got a whole lot for this one. I would love to hear more of what you guys think would be cool in your world. Maybe I'll incorporate some of your ideas into my own. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button, give us a like, and we will see you guys next time. Game on.